Well, good morning, and thank you everyone for being here. As you know, yesterday I received the first bill of the session, a partisan tax conformity plan. In November, I told the legislature to send me the middle class tax cut package at the beginning of session to deliver cuts for seniors struggling to get by, waitresses relying on tips to put food on the table, firefighters working overtime to protect their communities, and the 88% of income tax filers who take the standard deduction. Passing that package will make tax session easier for middle-class families and the Department of Revenue, reduce complexity, and give us the time needed to discuss the rest of tax conformity in budget negotiations. I made clear what bill I would sign at the beginning of session, one that cuts taxes for the middle class, and that's it. In my State of the State, I said to make it the first bill on my desk because I want the middle class tax cuts now. Instead of working with me to put the middle class first, the Republican majority has chosen to engage in political theater and sent me a partisan bill. It's a bill that puts billionaires and special interests first. It hikes taxes on working seniors. Under their plan, a senior working part-time as a Walmart greeter doesn't get a tax cut. That is wrong. And they have no plan to pay for it. Their actions are the height of irresponsible and reckless budgeting. And this morning, I vetoed it. Now I'm thrilled to be joined here today with leaders De Los Santos and Sundaration to introduce the middle class tax cut bills, a $200 million tax cut for working people struggling to get by. We want to raise the standard deduction, end taxes on tips and overtime, and give our seniors a break immediately. We want to give certainty to the 88% of Arizonans who take the standard deduction when they file their taxes. We want a firefighter working overtime to keep his neighbors safe to know that he'll get a tax break. We want a senior working part-time as a Walmart greeter to get a tax cut. We want a waitress working hard to put food on the table to get a tax cut. The middle class must be our priority. The middle class must come first. The billionaires and special interests who want their tax break can wait their turn. They need to wait their turn because Republicans need to show me and the people of Arizona how they're going to pay for it. No business would spend over $1 billion without knowing where that's coming from. The state of Arizona will not do that either. Later today, in a matter of hours, you will see my balanced executive budget. It includes this middle class tax cut package. It also includes important investments to secure our water, protect the public, lower costs, and deliver a quality education for every child. There isn't fluff, there isn't waste or bloat, just the state of Arizona tackling the issues that the people of our state expect us to deliver on. I have a plan to balance our budget and cut taxes for the middle class by $200 million. Republicans won't show you their plan because they don't have one. So today, let me send a clear message to the legislature. If you want to lower taxes for the middle class, then pass these middle class tax cuts now. Stop the hostage taking, stop the political games, and send me this bill. And with that, I'm proud to introduce Senate Leader Sundaration.
Thank you so much, Governor. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Senate Democratic Leader Priya Sundaration. And I want to start by reminding everyone, why are we even fighting about tax conformity with Republicans? Why are we in this conundrum? We're in this conundrum because Republicans in Congress passed H.R. 1 that pushed a lot of impact and took away funding for Medicaid and SNAP and other services and pushed all of that onto the states, including us here in Arizona. And just as H.R. 1 made health care more expensive to pay for tax cuts for corporations and the wealthiest, and for expanding lawless activities in our communities, here in Arizona, Republicans have pushed through their tax conformity package that will provide more tax cuts for those who don't need it. And in doing so, will leave less available for paying for public education, health care, and everything that regular working class Arizonans need. Yesterday, Senate Republicans passed what can only be described as Arizona's terrible bill. SB 1106 was being sold as tax relief, but let's be very clear about what it actually does and who it actually helps. Republicans claim that this bill delivers relief for families, seniors, and small businesses. They're even suggesting that Democrats voted against these policies. That's simply not true. Senate Democrats absolutely support real tax relief for working and middle-class Arizonans. We support policies that put money back into the pockets of families that are struggling with the rising costs of housing, groceries, healthcare, and childcare. What we do not support is a rushed, unbalanced, irresponsible bill that once again tilts the scales towards millionaires and the wealthy while putting the programs that everyday Arizonans rely on at risk. When you look past all of the talking points delivered from our Republican colleagues, that's what SB 1106 does. It does not prioritize working families. It prioritizes those who are already doing just fine. That bill drains resources from essential services that benefit families right now, including public education, healthcare, and other critical programs that keep our communities strong and our economy moving. But Democrats are fighting for an Arizona we can afford, where tax relief is balanced, targeted, and paired with smart investments in education, healthcare, and opportunity. We're ready to do this the right way. The Republican proposal is not it. Just yesterday, I introduced the governor's middle-class tax cuts package in the Senate. That bill number is 1203. We will continue standing up for everyday Arizonans today, tomorrow, and every step of the way. Thank you, and I'm now pleased to introduce House Democratic Leader Oscar de los Santos.
Good morning, I'm Representative Oscar de los Santos, House Democratic Leader. Yesterday, Republicans forced through an irresponsible bill that would have given large corporations hundreds of millions of dollars in special tax breaks. I am proud that every member of the House Democratic Caucus did the right thing and voted no. Today, Governor Hobbs has said no too. Let's be clear, Democrats are not afraid to stand up to special interests, and I'm proud Governor Hobbs has vetoed this reckless handout to big corporations. Make no mistake, Democrats are fighting for an Arizona we can afford. That's why we support tax relief for working families and middle-class families who are struggling to get by. And that is why I introduced House Bill 2531, Governor Hobbs's middle-class tax cuts. House Bill 2531 raises the standard deduction, lets everyday Arizonans keep more of what they earn from tips and overtime, and gives seniors over 65 an additional $6,000 deduction. I call on Republican leadership to immediately give this bill a hearing, pass it in both chambers, and send it to the governor's desk. She will sign it immediately. Thank you.
All right, we're going to do some questions.
Okay. Morning, Governor.
Mr. Fisher,
So,
respect the blue line.
if you had a bigger place, you didn't need all the space for your sides.
We don't have money for renovations.
Oh, wait,
It's not in our budget.
Okay, so Governor, President signed H.R. 1 on July 4th. You have known for 6 months this conformity issue was coming. Why didn't you call the lawmakers into special session, hash this out? Because right now, you have forms put out by your Department of Revenue that neither conform to your bill or the Republican bill, and leaving millions of taxpayers in limbo. What took you so long to decide this?
Well, first of all, that's not correct. The DOR forms do conform to my plan. That is what I directed them to do with my executive order a couple months ago. And I've always said I'm willing to call a special session if that would be productive. I released my plan a couple months ago. Republicans have shown us that they are not serious about getting this done because they didn't ever come to the table to negotiate what we could both agree on, and instead decided to play this political theater and send a hyper-partisan bill to my desk first thing in this session.
You could have called a special session, Governor, it's real simple.
I have said I am willing to do that if it would be productive. If nobody's willing to come to the table and negotiate, then how is that going to be productive?
Governor, the Republicans say that they did reach out to you and they did ask for meetings on this. You say they didn't. Where are we? I mean, I don't know how to judge who's right and who's wrong on that.
I can tell you they did not work with us to negotiate their plan or to negotiate on our plan.
Did you reach out to them specifically? Did you call
I
the
put out
president?
my plan 2 months ago.
Governor, aren't the negotiations supposed to happen in the special session, not before you call one?
I don't think it makes a lot of sense to call folks to come down to the Capitol to cost taxpayers extra per diem, so they're doing that, if we don't have an agreement worked out before we get to the table. Otherwise, it's just an exercise in futility. And I was here in the legislature when Governor Brewer did that. She had a lot of pressure to extend unemployment. There was no deal. We sat there for 3 days and twiddled our thumbs. I'm not going to do that.
Okay, next, Stacy, do you have something?
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Come on.
Ways, no, I do. So we're in this position where you are charging Republicans with not coming to the table and political grandstanding, but you are standing here saying you told them to do something and they didn't do it. So how are you not doing the same thing they are? And most importantly, how do you start having the conversation? Like, if it's not happening now, like, how do you have the conversation with Republicans to find a middle ground?
Well, here's what I hope. I put out my plan. I made it clear that's what I wanted. I made it clear I was willing to talk to them about it and get something to my desk that provided this relief for middle-class families in Arizona. They decided not to take me up on that and send this bill. So I think we've all made it clear where we are, and I'm hopeful now we can actually start talking and moving forward to give Arizonans the relief they need, the certainty they need, and we know folks are getting ready to start filing very soon.
Wade?
Can you talk a little bit more about what specifically in the Republican plan y'all think disproportionately benefits the wealthy? Because we've heard about the depreciation part, but Republicans would say a lot of small businesses benefit from that as well. So if you could talk a little bit more.
So their plan included all of the provisions of HR 1, which I've said I'm willing to talk about, but we need to do that in the context of the budget. I'm presenting my budget today that pays for the middle class tax cuts. If we want to do more, we just need to figure out how we're going to pay for that, and we can do that in budget negotiations. But their plan not only does full tax conformity with the federal plan, or most of it, but also far exceeds. It's like a wish list of every tax proposal they've ever introduced that hasn't gotten to through the chamber. And it blows a huge hole in our budget, and it is completely irresponsible.
Okay, next, Reagan.
Governor Hobbs, back on the ADOR forms, it's my understanding that ADOR printed forms or sent them out to vendors that are full conformity with HR 1 and then a worksheet that includes your tax cuts. ADOR says conforming to the Republican plan would require Arizonans to file amended returns.
Mhm.
How does your plan impact how Arizonans are going to have to file their returns?
So if Arizonans file today using the forms that ADOR has provided, and we pass conformity, any version of it, they won't have to file amended returns. With provisions in the Republicans' plan that wasn't considered and is not part of conformity, it will create chaos and a lot of challenges for folks who then have to refile.
Okay, back.
Can I, related, Senator Mesnard yesterday advised Arizonans to wait to file their taxes while this gets all like worked out. Would you recommend the same?
Well, I'm frustrated that we are in a situation that is creating uncertainty for filers. It's why there was urgency to get this done right away. But I'm assuming we will get to some version of conformity and if filers file now using the forms that are available, they will be fine.
Okay, that makes sense, Lisa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you said you want these middle-class tax cuts passed. Republicans would argue that those tax cuts are in the bill that they sent you.
They are.
Can you talk a little bit about just why the other portions of the bill
Yep. So this is not an unprecedented request. The last time we had a large conformity bill in 2019, Governor Ducey made the same call. He's like, do this now, let's do the rest in the budget. It's a big price tag. We all know we're facing a challenging budget situation. And the priority right now for me, and what I've heard from a lot of the Republicans, is that they want to lower costs, they want to provide relief for Arizona families. The middle class tax package does that. It does it now. It provides them certainty now when they go to file their taxes. And the rest should be negotiated when we do the budget, so we can figure out where, if we pass any other parts of it, how we're going to pay for that.
And what's your message then to small businesses that, now have a much more complicated tax situation if we don't have full conformity?
Look, I want to provide relief across the board. Some of that comes with a bigger price tag that you won't see reflected in my executive budget, and so I want to be able to figure out with the Republicans and when we do budget negotiations how we're going to pay for that.
Okay, I think there's somebody else in the back.
Cameron.
We'll get to you after Howie.
Yeah, I just following up on the ADOR stuff. They said in committee, ADOR's representatives, that if your plan passes or if the GOP plan passes, it's not going to jive with what they put out as guidance, and that they would have to have extra funding and extra staff to make it work, and that people would have to refile their taxes. So I don't get how it matches up, or it doesn't.
The actions that ADOR took with the form is what they do every year when we have tax conformity. So I think what they presented was worst case scenario, and certainly if the Republican plan that I just vetoed goes into law, it will that price tag will go up exponentially. I'm confident ADOR, they handle tax changes every single year, and I'm confident they're equipped to do that this time around.
Howie for
Okay,
last question.
just to be clear, first of all, you may want to call your ADOR director, because like Cameron said, ADOR said, even if your plan passed, their forms don't match it. More to the point, the bills that were introduced today do not include something that you include in your original plan, which has to do with sales, with interest on sales taxes. So first of all, why did you jettison that? And why did you want that in the first place, since apparently the Democrats don't like that either?
We included things in our plan that we thought would benefit the majority of Arizonans, and we discussed with the Democrats, and the plan they introduced is what we could all agree on, and I'm fine with that.
Okay, you gotta call wraps,
Okay.
and then.
Do call your DOR director.
Okay.
Because they're testifying something else.
Howie, I think you're misunderstanding what was said. We can talk about it
No.
after.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Governor.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
You may want to call DOR